and gentlemen, after at this point, the suspect is on his way back to the detachment, and when he gets there, normally the process is once he's searched and looked into cells, you have an opportunity to contact legal counsel. So we call a lawyer of his choice. If he doesn't have a lawyer, we put a phone book with all the lawyers' names in them, or in it. And then there's also a free legal aid service, and there's a number for that. That lawyer would provide legal advice. We don't listen to that. That's in a private room, and the person's able to get legal advice, and it doesn't involve the police. It's not recorded. And normally what occurs is the lawyer makes sure that the client understands what the offense is, and advises them normally not to say anything to the police, not to respond to our questions, because the person does not have to say anything. Right now, the constable who's at the scene is just documenting the evidence. That would include, of course, the weapon, because we're alleging that this is an assault with a weapon, so clearly the baseball bat is being seized. We also, of course, take photographs of injuries, of things that have been strewn around the house, and perhaps the alcohol, and we would even make sure that it's actual alcohol, that there's beer in there or something, so we can give evidence that describes each element of the offense and also the backstory, the background relating to the offense. At this point, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions, if anyone has any for us at this time. Anything at all.
I just have a question about language specific services. Just to elaborate on that piece. So let's say if the woman calls 911 and doesn't speak English, what happens next?
Yes, actually, yes. I'll have our dispatcher answer.
Can you repeat the question? Does everybody catch it, right?
Yeah, the question was whether or not if someone doesn't speak English, that they can still get help. And absolutely, ECOM in Vancouver answers all 911 calls. They have access to about 170 languages within 1 minute through Language Line. One of the things I would recommend to people, if you can say the language in English, it makes it that much faster. But they can get a translator on the line very quickly for you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Chief.
What happens if they didn't let you in?
Yeah, it's a great question. We actually have some law on our side there. It's called case law, so it's Regina versus Godoy, so G-O-D-O-Y. And what that permits is the police to make entry in an emergency, because we've been called, the daughter's in there, the husband's in there. To ensure safety, we're permitted to make entry. We can't go in and search the whole house and go through people's sock drawers and so on, but we can search sufficiently to make sure we know who's in there and to see if they're safe. And of course, preserve evidence and make the arrest as we've done. So the case law, particularly pertaining to 911 calls, is quite clear. The expectation of police is don't take anybody's word for it. Because we do have those cases where we show up and at the front door say, no, everything's fine. No, we just spilled some coffee and yelled and I was mad at my wife for doing that, but we're good now, thanks, you guys can go. Obviously we can't. So we kind of take it from there and make sure everybody's safe. And if we verify that it's nothing, fine, but we can't leave until we do. Any other questions at all?
Dave, from the police side and to the dispatcher, oftentimes we're criticized for, why are you asking all those questions? Why didn't you just send the police, or why are you asking those silly questions of that poor woman who just went through a call? And you're asking me a question. Why don't you keep her on the line?
Well, there's a couple of reasons to keep her on the line. First of all, if she's on the line with me, then he's probably not hitting her, or she's in a safe place. Another technique that we can use in 911 is we can actually ask to talk to the perpetrator. Again, if he's on the line with 911, then he's not hurting her. We ask the questions, but through computer-aided dispatch systems, we can put the information in, and the dispatcher has already sent the officers to the scene. So as an emergency call, even though I'm gathering information as a call taker, police officers have already been dispatched to the scene. So part of it is assisting the officers so they know what to expect when they get to the scene. And it's part of the evidence gathering. So the more information that we can get from the victim at the time of the call, the better for the case.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Another quick question. I just want to ask that, let's say if children are involved, is MCFD involved right from the get-go?
The question is, children are involved, is MCFD involved right from the get-go? And the answer is yes. As soon as we understand or know that there are children involved and have been exposed to a domestic violence situation, so this would be an accurate or a typical case, we would be obliged under the Act to contact MCFD and report to them what had occurred. And often there's also a safety issue in terms of where is that child now going to go. So in this particular case, we could say the offender is taken to cells and would likely appear in the morning before a judge. And that MCF, of course, has a very, very vast database that they have of all their interactions with various families. And so they're able to check their own records. And if they're satisfied that the daughter in this case is safe with Daisy, then that would probably be fine. I would suggest that would be fine. And then what they might do is figure out what services to offer and engage with that family maybe the next day or in the following days. Does that answer your question? Yes.
What are the steps taken to refer the victim to support services, and how long will it take?
It can happen quite quickly. The very first, once we'll get the victim interviewed and we'll go through the evidence gathering process, but normally we would then bring in our victim service workers, or police-based victim service workers, or community-based victim service workers, and those people will talk to the victim, try to get some background and see what services might be put in place. That happens quite quickly, it even happen at the time, because they are available after hours. All right, sorry, one other question at the back?
I was sometimes that the offenders ask to leave the home, so I need to determine whether they are asked to leave the home or whether they're arrested right away.
Normally, if the grounds exist under our protocol and under the policy in British Columbia, if the grounds exist, we would normally arrest right away. If there are no grounds to arrest, we don't have lawful authority to detain that person, then it would be a case where we might try to facilitate that person leaving the home. But truly, if the grounds aren't there, there may not be anything that we can do to force that to occur. Yes?
In that case, if the offender is asked to leave and has left the home and the victim's in that home, I came from Alberta, so the police had the right to apply for an emergency protection order for the victim. Does that sort of apply in BC as well?
There is. We actually have our Crown Counsel here, and actually what I'll do is there is a protection order available under Section 810 of the Criminal Code of Peace Bond. We might apply for something like that in this situation, so there may be some avenues there. But perhaps we'll move forward, and I think some of the questions you've already asked, and maybe you still have maybe answered in the next little while in sequence. So at this point, we are going to go to the detachment, and we will witness what occurs between the police and the victim.